everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Rose. If you're new to my channel, I am a New York City high school teacher. I teach social studies in a school in Brooklyn, and what a week it has been, right? Obviously, you can tell by the title what we're going to be talking about, but I know for probably every single teacher all across the globe, this has been so stressful, and so I wanted to actually get on here quickly and just share some tips with you guys, things that I've been doing to try to stay in a good place mentally, especially because New York City schools, DOE schools, the mayor has not yet closed schools. We really thought, my school thought that he was going to make an announcement on Friday, and unfortunately he did not. And so the plan is to go to work on Monday. It's actually Sunday right now in the morning, and the plan is to go to work tomorrow. And so I don't know how to feel about it. I'm excited to see the kids, but I'm also just like, wow, what is going on? And so I don't know if your school has closed, or maybe you're in a situation like myself where schools are still open and you're trying to figure out what to do. So I'm gonna provide some tips for you who are still in school, what you can be doing, and also if you are switching over to online or distant learning, what are some ways that you can do that for your students and for yourself that is simple and will not require so much gadget time. Again, especially if you're someone who's not used to online or distant learning and it just seems like a really intimidating issue. If you follow me on Instagram, I actually requested that people would post and would just share what are the things that you guys do for online learning, and so I will put all of those things also in the description bar. But let's get started. Teacher tips for the COVID-19 coronavirus. Tip number 1, stay calm. If you have ever heard of the 3 C's, right? Cool, calm, and collected, this would be the time to exercise those as best as possible. Now, because I teach high school students, they are usually, for what I've experienced so far, well aware of everything that is happening. They give me updates when they come into the classroom, and it's just like the conversation, even for me, can be really overwhelming. For those of you that don't know, I've mentioned it in another video, but I am a type 1 diabetic, so when we think about the list of people who could possibly be affected by this, it's like, hey, hi, how you doing? And so they're constantly like just sharing information, but there are some students who are scared. And so it's important that you provide a sense of calm for them, a sense of stability in your classroom. It is important to not seem nervous, right? We know that it's a natural reaction to feel that way, but it is important to not seem nervous. It's important to reassure them like, hey, I know that there's a lot happening, but like we're in this together. I think it's so important. They care so much about our opinion. My students are always asking me every day, how do you feel about it now, miss? How do you feel about it now? And so they care about what we think. And so it's so important to not add to the panic, right? You have to make sure that you are conscious of what you're saying and how you're responding so that you do not add to the panic that the media and probably their parents and everywhere else, they may be hearing it. You want to be a place of stability and peace and calm for your students. Tip 2, talk about the virus and then move on. This past week was just emotionally draining because it felt like every single day of every single one of my classes, we were talking about the virus. And it is emotionally draining, not only for myself, but for the students if they're talking about it in 7 classes of the day. And so talk about it with them, bring up factual information, and then move on. Don't dwell on it. I'm not sure if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I actually posted that I had found a video on YouTube with like the beach, and it was just the waves crashing and the sound of the beach. And I was just like, hey, pull out something to read, or I have a worksheet here, but let's just work independently. Let's listen to this in the background. You can watch the waves if that's all you want to do, but let's just have a moment of like just rest and relaxation. And it was so helpful. It was so valuable. It broke up the normal routine, but not to the point where we were just like running rampant. But it was a nice break to just be like, hey, we spoke about it. Now let's move on and let's just enjoy some peace for the moment that I do have with you guys. So Hopefully that helps. There's so many videos on YouTube like that. There's ones of like the rain falling, and then you can hear the sound of the rain, and it can just be like on your board or your projector or whatever you use, and it's just background noise while they're working, just to kind of like soothe themselves. It's really helpful. You guys heard my dog. Okay, Simon. Tip number 3, make your classroom feel normal as possible. So if there are certain routines that you do in the classroom, for me, I always greet them at the door. Hi, good morning, how is everyone? They will then like start their do now, and we just try to create some sense of normalcy again, so that their minds are distracted from what is happening. Because the minute they exit your classroom, the minute they exit the school, they're going to be bombarded with that stuff all over again. So definitely create a sense of normalcy in your room. And I have been doing that. I've been trying to do that as best as possible. We have the conversation, and then it's like, all right, let's move on, guys. The topic for today, please make sure that you have your binders ready. We're going to take some notes. Make sure it's Cornell notes, like just so that it breaks up the thought process of what is happening and it feels normal. Tip number 4. Make your personal life, yes, you, teacher, you, make your personal life as normal as possible. It is important that you create a space for yourself where you feel is stable and secure and safe. So not only to do that for your students, but if you are creating a space like that for yourself, it's much easier to do that for your students. So if you like to sit home and watch Netflix, sit home and watch Netflix. If you have children and you spend time with your children, do those things. If you usually will cook, cook. If you usually are just like binge watching YouTube videos like me, binge watch YouTube videos. You have to make your life seem as normal as possible, because you can only control what you can control, right? We can't control the media, we can't control the virus, but we can control how we respond to the situations, and the way that we respond will also help our mental and our physical health. So make your life feel as normal as possible. I actually did that on yesterday, Saturday. I just shut off all social media. I didn't want to go on YouTube. I didn't want to go on Instagram. I didn't even put on the TV. And I just like sat here with a book, drinking my coffee, eating my avocado toast. And it was amazing because it just felt normal, and I was able to preserve that time for myself. And so please make sure that you are finding ways to do that for yourself as well, because we are humans, right? And what happens does affect us. We're not robots. We are not superheroes. We're not. Yes, it's cool to be called that, but the truth is we're human beings. And so you need to make sure that you're preserving your own peace and your own sanity while you're also trying to offer that to your students. Tip number 5. If you are still at work, I would suggest begin prepping packets for your students to take home. My school had began doing this with assigning certain students laptops that didn't have technology access at home. But if you know for sure, hey, my school does not have these resources, begin prepping packets so that when you do, for whatever reason, feel like the school may close, or maybe your district will out of nowhere make this announcement, you can give your students those things when they're in school and have them take it home, and then you've already pre-planned for what to do when they're at home if they do not have access. So begin prepping packet work for them, whether it be reading, whether it be articles that you want them to read about maybe the topic, not what's happening in the world, but the topic that you're learning about. If you check out my Teachers Pay Teachers page, I have a current events worksheet that's really, really easy, accessible. Everything is super explained, so you can check that out in the description box. But definitely look for resources where you don't have to spend time making them, but you can just find something online, print it, and distribute it to your students. In the event that your school does close down, you have already pre-thought about what to do with learning at home. Tip number 6, you must use disinfectant wipes, sprays, whatever you have access to in your classroom. I saw another video about this and also online, how there are a lot of students that are sensitive to the chemicals in these things, and that is 100% understandable. Maybe have them step outside for a second, maybe try to do it early in the morning before your students even get there, but it is a must. You have to disinfect. Spray on the doorknobs, spray on their chairs, on their desks. A lot of my students like to open up the windows in the classroom, so spraying the handles, anything at all that you know they're touching. Our board in the classroom, it's a touch screen, is that how you say it? Yeah, it's a touch screen, and so I was like Lysoling that thing like crazy. We're constantly having students come up to the board and write their answers out, and so you have to use disinfectant sprays or wipes or whatever you have access to. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, one of my students actually recorded me spraying the Lysol all around the classroom, and it was just the funniest video because I look like a crazy person, like just spraying, but I wanted to make sure I sprayed before my next class came in, and so I was spraying at the end of every single class so that by the time my new set of students came in, the Lysol was already like working in the classroom, and then I wiped down everything at the end of the day. Tip number 7, encourage students to wash their hands. I know this is like an obvious one. We've seen it all over social media. Can't believe we're teaching people how to wash their hands. But the truth is, I would guess more people don't know how to wash their hands correctly than do. And so if you need to show them a video, show them a video. I know at my school, we have literally told every single student, you have to go in, you have to wash your hands, show me that you're washing your hands, and then we give them hand sanitizer after. So we as a school have made it our initiative to make sure that we're doing the right thing with every single student that comes in and out of the bathroom. That's like our way of catching them and making sure that they're washing their hands. I don't know if maybe speaking to your school where there are some policies that you can put in place for the time being, but encourage your students to wash their hands, and obviously you wash your hands too. Okay. And now let's switch gears a little bit. What do you do if your school is already closed? There have been so many things about online learning or distant learning, and I will be honest with you guys, it's not really something that my school does often. Every single one of our students, we made sure that they all had access or had signed up for Google Classroom earlier this week, again, because we were prepping for a school closure, and so we wanted to make sure that every single student had a Google Classroom account with our class. So Google Classroom, I would say, is the easiest way. It is the simplest way. It is the most user-friendly. There's so many tutorials on YouTube. Once you're done watching this video, go and watch a video about how to set up a Google Classroom, how to create assignments. It is simple. It's easy to link videos, and so utilize YouTube. Utilize things that your students are already familiar with. If you find a video on YouTube that can explain the content, link that video, they can watch it, and then you can just attach or create an assignment that has them answer questions. It doesn't have to be complicated, but at least you know that you are giving your students an opportunity to learn at home. What I would suggest is, if your school is still in session, make it a point to have all of your students sign up for Google Classroom. You can do that starting on Monday and just be like, hey, I need everyone. If you have your phones, take them out. Request a laptop cart. If all you have is just your laptop or your computer, you can literally do every student one by one. It would be time consuming, but at least you know that you have signed them up for Google Classroom, and then whatever happens, happens, and you know that that platform is already prepared for them. Again, you can create assignments, you can link videos, you can upload videos of your PowerPoint, and you can do voiceovers, everything you can do on your computer. I have a Mac, so it's really easy to just video your screen and then talk over. And so there's simplified ways to do this that will not create it to be too inconvenient for you. Also, online sources that I really, really love is Khan Academy. They have pretty much every single topic that you can think of. I will link their site below. You can grab their resources. They do videos, they have questions, but you can link the Khan Academy videos in Google Classroom, and then you can create your own worksheet for students to answer. What I would suggest also is creating like a Google chat with your students. Just again, if you want to create a sense of normalcy, give them a platform where they can all communicate with each other and also communicate with you. So there's things like Google Meet, Google Hangs, and also you can just create a chat on your Google Classroom where students can interact. If you want to post a video like, hi everyone, how are you doing? Miss you guys so much. Like, those things will create to the normalcy even though they are at home. And I get really excited when I think about that stuff. Obviously, I enjoy making videos, and so I will definitely be doing that if my school decides to close down temporarily. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna list all of the online options that people have suggested. I hope that this was helpful. Again, it mostly focused on teachers who are still in the classroom. And if you are doing online learning, make sure that what you are providing for your students is tangible work, that it's work that will not be too complicated. Remember, you're not there to explain, you're not there to support, and so what you do provide to them has to be modified. It cannot be the same thing that you would do in the classroom. So keep that in mind as well. You don't want to overwhelm them, especially if it's a student that already struggles in school. You don't want to overwhelm them with something that requires so much explaining from a teacher, and then they're just expected to do it at home. It's really unfair, it's unrealistic, and so make sure that you are just doing the best that you can, right? At least myself, I've never had to experience something like this before, and so we're all just rolling with it, right? We're all just figuring it out together, and so don't be too hard on yourself if you feel lost or confused, and don't be too hard on your students. Again, we're all experiencing the same thing, and we're all just trying to figure it out. And so that's pretty much it. That is the end of this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Also, please share what are some resources that you use for online learning, so that we can just like share this with so many teachers. Let this be a space where we feel safe. Even if you just want to comment about the sentiment that's been happening in your school or your district or your neighborhood, let's please keep this a positive platform in the comments, and just encouraging each other, a place of love and support. And I will see you guys in the next video.